All right, so what we're gonna do is use this backpack Electrofisher, and I want to explain a little bit about it. This puts out the electricity, and there is a little latch right here that you push down to send the pulse out. So it circulates through and comes out through this rat tail here. So both ends put out electricity. Avoid at all costs touching this and touching this, but just avoid doing it. I have accidentally done it. Matt Swarrick actually hit my arm with it one day. I'm still alive, so it just doesn't feel very good, as you can imagine. So we're gonna have one person that carries the Electrofisher, and then we're gonna have two netters, and you'll have a netter on either side of the person electrofishing. So what you want to do is make sure that you're staying close to the hoop, and then the other net would be close to. Scooping along the bottom is good. You want to check your nets frequently. You might not see something go in, but it will. So we'll look at fish, and then we'll put them back if we do catch any fish. It's likely that we will. And then what we'll do is have two bucket people. And there's going to be one bucket person behind each netter. And as a bucket person, you want to make sure that you don't step on this rat tail. You want to make sure that you're conscious of that, because if you do, which almost happened to me this morning, you go face plant sometimes, not all the time, if you catch it in time. This has a tip sensor on it. It'll automatically shut off even if you just bend a little bit. It also has a sensor at the bottom that detects water, so it's a submerge. When you submerge it, it will shut off as well. So the safety of backpack electrofishing is, it's safe. I wouldn't make you do this or have you do it if it wasn't safe. So when you're netting, you want to make sure that you don't touch the metal. Again, I've done it, and you just get a little, you're like, whoo, okay. Shouldn't have done that. That was too good. These are fiberglass poles, so you're fine and grounded here. You're grounded through your boots as well. And we're going to be shocking at a pretty low voltage. So when we get the buckets, you're going to want to put maybe about this much water in it. If you want to be able to keep it out of the water so that they're not getting shocked when they're in here, so you don't want to just like drag it along. If you put too much water in it, then it gets heavy, and they don't need that much water. A few inches will do it. We're going to sample by habitat. So this morning we did this riffle down here. We called it Riffle 1, and then we also did this pool. So we did, the way that this works is that you zigzag across the stream to each side and move in an upstream direction as you're doing that. So we did one, we call them passes. So we did one pass of electrofishing in that riffle. We ended up doing two in this pool because we missed a lot of crayfish in the pool. Crayfish will spend time in riffles, but it's not their necessarily preferred habitat. So we're starting to run out of time, so we only did one pass in the riffle. Other than that, we will bring crayfish back up here. We'll dry off their carapace. They get a dot of whiteout, and then we pick a color. I've got all kinds of cool colors. The only ones we can't use is red or blue, because we used those this morning. But I've got all kinds of cool little pens. If you just try to use these pens on their carapace, it's really hard to see. So the whiteout is helpful there. What else was I going to say? If people want to stick behind people electrofishing a decent amount of ways, this pulse really only goes out about 8 feet tops. And as you can imagine, as you get away from the hoop, you know, so if we're, you know, electrofishing up here, being back here with little nets trying to catch is very safe. You're not going to feel anything that way. And then we're going to keep all the crayfish until we're ready to be done for the day, and then we'll release them. And we'll deal with release and talk about it a little bit more at the end. What we also need to do is measure area of the sampling habitat. I forgot to do this morning, so we're gonna measure area of the other two sections. That was my fault. I forgot the tape measure. So that's really it. It's pretty simple, easy peasy. If you want to do any of the tasks, just speak up. You can switch out. We're gonna do the same thing next week. So today's just the initial marking. Next week, what we'll do is come out and resample our habitats. We'll collect all crayfish that we can, and we'll have some that don't have tags, and then hopefully we'll get some that do have tags. And there's a really simple equation that we can use to estimate population size. So the thing is that the more crayfish you tag and mark originally, the better population estimate you're gonna get. So, and the more likely you are to catch them the next time. So it happens a lot to where you mark individuals, you go back out into the field for recapture, and you don't find any tagged individuals. That's a reality. I don't know how that's gonna go with crayfish. We've done this a lot with grasshoppers in the past. I started to notice grasshopper populations crashing to where in the first year I ever did that sampling, we would have a 20 meter by 20 meter plot and we would catch hundreds of grasshoppers. Last year, we were struggling to get 25. So we'll learn a little bit about population cycles and how they fluctuate. So they might just be, they may have overshot carrying capacity and crashed, but again, we'll get to that kind of content. So we're gonna move on to crayfish. I've done a lot of mark recapture with crayfish, but not using this technique. I think I mentioned in class, I used a elastomer, a plastic elastomer to tag them before, and we tagged 1,000 and got a pretty good return the next time. So, all right, let's boogie.
We're electrofishing our riffle site. Notice when that's flickering and beeping that it is on. The netters are doing a very good job out being right behind the electrode to catch anything that is stunned. Here's a short video of our pool site. Here's the beginning of it. We worked our way up here. Past this tree, it got deeper, especially down inside the middle corridor. And we ended roughly by that tree, where the new riffle and our riffle site is. Here is a video detailing our riffle site. You can see that it is typically shallower and faster moving compared to our pool habitat. See, as the riffle moves into a pool, the water does not seem to be moving as fast, and it is much deeper. Again, one of the crawfish here.
Why?
Dried off its back, marking it with white out. Then as we leave them in there to dry, we'll eventually mark them with a Sharpie.